Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode on the Owwll Podcast. If this is your first time tuning in, we are now streaming everywhere. My LinkedIn account, Jason R. Hill, our YouTube account, as well as our Facebook account at Owwll App. So every week we come to you with some amazing experts and we feature them right in the app, Owwll. You can call them one-on-one after their appearance on the Owwll Podcast. Today, I am joined by Don Capi. And he's worked with a lot of big influencers when it comes to their podcasts. So I'm excited to see what he thinks about the Owwll Podcast, of course. And one of the people he worked with was Patrick Bet-David, who has a top 5 podcast in the business sector, and I think top 10 in the whole world right now. But I'm joined with also Danielle Santilli. What's up, co-host? How you doing today?
Good. Just getting ready for the big holiday tomorrow.
Oh, yeah? You got some big plans?
Woo-hoo! Just the normal. Gonna go to a friend's house, hang out, eat good food. What about you?
I think sometimes the food's a little bit overrated, right? Everyone makes a big stink about the turkey and all the sides and all that stuff. I'm like, if you like it that much, why don't you eat it during the year?
Exactly.
Right? So,
I know. I try to not stuff my face on Thanksgiving. I think it is overrated. Then you feel horrible the next day. I'm going to do the opposite this year. I learned about this new ab workout that you can do to get a 6-pack quickly. So
I'm already smelling
I'm gonna do
scam.
that. No. It's not a scam. It's of someone I know personally. It's not like a weird online video that I saw, which I have fallen for those before. But
you're gonna show up and do that at Thanksgiving,
I'm just gonna start it tomorrow. I decided instead of gaining holiday weight, I'm gonna challenge ab thing every day, kind of like when we did the 75 hard in a way, a new holiday challenge. So I just maintain during the holidays. I don't gain the weight.
You made it through 75 hard.
Yeah,
we did.
Yeah,
we did.
We both of us. We had
incredible.
The Owwll community do it with us. So it was we do fun challenges sometimes.
I will say, if we didn't have the community Don behind us doing it, it would have been next to impossible.
Yeah, the peer pressure would have been too low for you to just keep going.
Okay, so let's see if you know the odds. 23 people joined. How many completed it in full?
Just you guys.
3.
Okay,
3.
so one other person, really?
Yeah, and I didn't even to be fair, to be honest, really, I did the working out and the water thing, but instead of reading a book every day, a couple pages of a book, it was call someone on Owwll every day.
Yeah.
And I think I missed a couple days of that, but the working out part.
She's saying she almost got through the 75.
Yeah.
She almost did 75 hard. I feel like that's everybody that does the
calling.
program. They almost do it.
But it's better. Almost is better than nothing, obviously.
They're not even attempting.
Yeah.
I tried it one time. I forget what was holding me back. I think it was the eating regimen that I didn't like. Well, the fasting. It doesn't have fasting.
No. It's not eat. It's more of just working out twice a day.
That was the thing I couldn't do.
Yeah, the 2 times.
Because I was at Valuetainment when I was doing it, and I had no time in my life at that point. So it was very hard to keep that schedule.
It's hard because you only have so many hours in a day, and 2 45-minute workouts is extremely difficult. You're like, oh, not a big deal. I'll do one in the morning. I'll do one at night.
Outdoors too.
But when you have timelines to get work done, you're like, shit, this is not easy. This is 7 days a week. There's no breaks for 75 days straight. So often people think, oh, I'll get to it later in the day, and then all of a sudden you eat a meal, you're tired, and then you're like, wait, I got to do it. I was getting up at 10 o'clock at night and be like, I got to get out there.
Yeah.
And I just started jogging around my pool. Literally, I'm like, got to get it in, and then I had to make a call on Owwll. I one time called someone in the bathroom in New York City at 11:45 at night because I forgot to do my call.
Yeah, same. I would do 11:50 p.m. and I'd be like, I have 10 more minutes. I thought I was winning, but because I didn't realize it was every day. I was like, oh, well, if I miss today, I'll just do 3 calls tomorrow. It doesn't work like that.
And we could track it. So no one could get away with it. I'm like, we got a call log.
Yeah.
Can't really fake calls.
That's almost better than 75 hard.
That's
maybe we should do another one. I don't know.
We got to talk to the creator of 75 Day Hard, right? Yeah. And say, hey, look, none of this is trackable, but 1 call per day is.
Yeah.
And when we look at social skills right now, it's that's where people are lacking, right? Everyone's reading all the time, reading on TikTok, reading on Instagram, but what they're not doing is just speaking to people and forming new relationships. So
now they're going to form relationships with their AI bots, apparently, which is not healthy in my opinion.
That's terrifying.
So, yeah.
Just let those people form their relationships with AI bots, and then there'll be more of us to actually build relationships with people.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I like that.
The good people will continue to build relationships.
Okay, so Don, let's get into your business a bit. We are going off on
about fitness.
I love it. Yeah,
about fitness and all this stuff for Thanksgiving. But Don, you were in the corporate world, right? And you shifted to saying, nope, I want to do this all in myself, being an entrepreneur? Tell us about that jump and what you're doing right now in business.
Yeah. So I was blessed by God with the opportunity to work with Valuetainment. Got the opportunity by walking into an office park building in Boca right after they moved to Boca from Dallas, and got the opportunity to work and meet Pat after I walked in there 4 or 5 different times in a row. And
how many years ago was
this was about 2.5 years ago, and got the opportunity to work there and was on the sales and consulting arm that Pat was building at the time. There was only 3 guys originally, me, Leo, and Roy. And we were just selling products. We were selling the Masterminds courses, and the Vault Conference had just been announced. They were doing the 2021, and I had to hop on the phone. So I was doing cold calls to the community. We had numbers, and I would just call out. And so I got to meet all these amazing entrepreneurs from all over the world. I got to build great relationships with some of those clients. Andy Elliott actually was my biggest and most famous client at the time when I called him and secured him for a spot at the Vault. Then him being my client was me going back and forth with him, updates, just always follow up and saying, hey, how are you doing? How's your progress doing? How's your company? Do you want to learn more from Pat with a mastermind? But we built a very good friendship, me, him, and Jackie. And I flew out there, got to meet him, and he's huge now. So through that window of me bringing him to the Vault and getting him there and closing him, he's one of the biggest closers in the world. So closing him is like massive.
For our audience that may not know who he is, can you explain?
So he was starting off in a similar route as Grant Cardone.
Okay.
But auto sales. And when I met him, he had an operation of about, let's say, 30, 35 people. He had about 300 people coming to his events out in Arizona. And he was at, let's say, 15,000 or maybe 20,000 followers on Instagram. Now he's just crossed 800,000 followers on Instagram, does about 200 million plus a year in revenue. His operation is now hundreds of agents. He has so many different verticals now. And that was all built through the media processes that he learned through Pat, coming to the Vault and just kind of getting plugged into the network. So you were saying what my leap was like. Eventually, working for a guy that says you have to be an entrepreneur, you have to become an entrepreneur. That's the evolution of the thing. And Pat did a similar thing in his career. So I evolved out of it, and I said, I got to do something on my own, trying to figure it out. And eventually, magic happened when I picked up this camera right here. I bought this camera and started filming people, and that was my missing link in my business, because I wasn't filming people. And that's what every single client that I was trying to work with was saying, well, are you gonna film me? Are you gonna give me content? What are you gonna do? And when I picked this up, it just, sky was the limit. So local referrals, local realtors, Jeff Cregan, one of my first clients, great guy. He kind of put me on to his local network. And then I get calls pretty much every day. Hey, I want to work with you. And now it's like more of a vetting process.
So go into a little bit more depth. So, a lot of people do photography. Some go after weddings, because weddings are so expensive and they're willing to write bigger checks, right? Then some people go after business owners, because business owners need content, specifically like realtors, like you were mentioning, right? They need awesome videos. They need to separate themselves from the pack. But then every other business does as well, pretty much, right? And a lot of people just shoot on an iPhone and then do these caption, apps that are out there. So what is the specific niche that you're going after to really, scale your business?
So my specific niche is somebody who is well-funded, knows how to run a business, but is very open to using social media for their marketing. They when I do my initial consultation or get on the phone with somebody, some of my initial questions are, do you know these following people? Do you know my old boss Pat? Do you know Andy Elliott? Do you know Alex Hormozy? And if somebody says yes, then that means that they're open to the effects, and they kind of know that the effects that social media and the right content can have on their business. And then when it comes to my understanding of the media market, I really don't think there are many people out there that work for a top YouTube company or was around these multitude of creators that not only have done a good job at having a small surface team of maybe like 4 or 5 back-end editors and people that are helping them out with their content, but now they've taken that and they've expanded upon it with, let's say, 30, 40 sales agents that now sell based through their content, because their content has reached mass marketing at this point, where people constantly are seeing them on their feeds, and they've hit a certain level of fame where they can sell pretty much anything because they're famous at this point. So building that media system out, I've seen about 3 or 4 massive operations as who did they hire first? Who was the second hire? Who was the third hire? Then they went and got 2 editors. They paid them like $20 an hour. So these systems, really what I consult on is media operations and media systems to go to the extent that some of these billionaires, soon to be billionaires, are doing. And I just know those systems pretty well.
So I'm just curious, like, so if I come to you and I'm someone with a budget, and I'm like, okay, I want you to blow me up on social media. Like, what are some of, obviously, like, you probably don't want to give away all your secrets,
I don't
but
care. I'm open source.
like in terms of someone has a profitable business, but they want to blow up on social media, like, are like ads what you do, like ambassadors, like when you talk about going from, normal following to big, is it getting your connections to plug these people? Like, what are the best methods that you've found?
Yeah. So the best
Oh,
method.
sorry, I forgot something.
Okay, yeah, go
Also,
for it.
I want to add a second part 2 to that question is marketing, how does marketing these businesses differ from like someone who wants to be an influencer, or is it like similar, like one person versus like a whole entire business?
So it's personal brand is
Mhm.
the main thing that you have to focus on. Personal brand number 1.
Mhm.
So once you get that personal branding down, and then you start the content process, which what sort of level is this so-called person at with their content already? Do they have some sort of marketing plan?
So I would say like that they are releasing content themselves,
Yeah.
right? And I see a lot of people like they have good content, but it's like, oh, it only has 3 likes
Yeah.
because they're not maybe putting money into the ads or anything like that. Or
Yeah.
so it's like, how do you, and they're so saturated now where like everyone wants to be, I see on Owwll so many people that like want to blow up, right?
Mhm.
But how do they compete with everyone else out there? Even if they have good, I don't think good content is enough. I think that there needs to be like there are other
And to
tricks to it.
piggyback that, there's a lot of people in your world that promise the world, so everyone feels like, okay, there's another person promising to get me from 3,000 followers to 1,000,000.
Yeah.
And
And I see a lot of cheating going, like if you want to call it cheating, like pods and bots, and it's
Yeah.
fake. So like because then the algorithm sees like all these people are commenting, even if it's like fake people, and then so like I'm just curious because there's a lot of like empty promises I find with.
Yeah.
I'm really skeptical
let's
of
just
social.
call it what it is. 9 out of 10 are empty.
Yeah,
Right. So
I'm
we're looking
skeptical of
for that
social
one.
media
And
companies.
it's probably not even 1 out of 10.
Yeah.
It's probably like really 1 out of 100.
Yeah.
Of folks like you that really can execute. That's the bottom
Yeah.
line.
Yeah. So if you have somebody promising you followers right off the bat, that's just not how it works.
Mhm.
And a majority of that market, if they're saying, "Hey, I'll get you 7,000 or 10,000 or 20,000 followers," that is a lot of bots. That is a
Mhm.
lot of collaboration. Like there are creators out there and producers out there that are in the digital space that could have a portal where they get you access to a giant group of people, and then those
Yeah.
people like and share
Engagement groups.
engagement
Yeah.
groups, and then that can grow your account. What
Mhm.
I'm talking about doing is I've seen Andy's undeniable, Pat's undeniable. You become undeniable when you're somebody like Hormozy, where for a fact you have acquisitions.com, you've had 3 or 4 exits, you're 100 millionaire at this point, 100, 200 millionaire at this point, and now you're helping people at live conferences, live engagement.
So you're saying they're already financially in a top spot.
They're
so
top of the
so it's
top.
easy for you to sell just because they already like their product or whatever they're doing, they already have proved themselves in real life.
They
Essentially.
took the route of, listen, I'm gonna hit this camera as much as I can with my wife or my friend, and we're gonna film every single day, and I'm gonna bust through this, getting 15 likes and 20 likes and 30 likes, and follow. Mr. Beast has a method where he says each video needs to get better Every time you film a video, you need to edit it a little better. You need to make it a little better. And as long as you focus along that long route, you need to have money saved up. You need to have something in the bank, because this is not a good idea for somebody who's just trying to struggle 9 to 5, because you won't have the time to be able to put in to create the good content, fund the camera, fund the board. Somebody technical, a producer like myself, or somebody locally who can tell you how to set some of those things up and what camera to get and what lighting set up like we have here, that can go a long way. But it's a long, arduous process. It's not a magic pill that's going to solve any of this. And as far as coming to your points about so many people out there really can't deliver on these things, what you want to find, and what I've had success with my clients, because I've been in that position where it's like you want to promise the world to a client, but in reality, what are you going to be able to do? Really just the tangible, like filming them, getting them the content, sharing them the Google Drive, having that Google Drive to where it looks good, it has good captions, and then it's their local community when they post. So to get outside of your local community, of just when you post on Instagram, you're following
people, like how do you get outside of people is my question.
Your following on Instagram is going to be who sees that's your organic market that you already have. It's not going outside of that. So Alex Hormozy just did a live webinar. I don't know if you saw it, for 100M. It was 100M. It was the lead magnet.
He's gonna have to change everything he's writing. He's like, I'm worth 100 million, but I'm sure he's worth like 200 now.
Yeah.
Right?
So he just did a live webinar where he explained that your followers on your Instagram are your organic market that people are seeing. To get outside of that, you do have to put ad spend, because you're renting space on other people's feeds. Beyond that, I believe in, and this is what I've seen people do. I've seen Andy do it. I've seen Bradley do it. I've seen Pat do it, and Albert Preciado, and all these creators that you need to look into. If you do want to go into this career, you have to look into who these digital creators are, learn from them, try out what they're doing. But you need to go to live speaking engagements. You need to network at these live speaking engagements, try to get on and try to speak, because then at that point, if you're speaking right before Brad
everyone's going to follow you, all of his essentially.
And then if you're speaking before Brad Lee, everybody in the convention is going to see you, because they're going to want to see Brad or see Andy, and then you're also able to get access to their network, who's following them, and trying to do collaborative posts is another way that I've seen people really grow. It's really just bugging the big dogs, getting around the big dogs, going to their events, befriending them, and trying to do collaborative, because then you're going to.
I like that answer. That's like the real.
But you have to be in. That's the thing. This is show business. That's what people don't understand. My uncle was in show business.
That's
for a long
what
time.
I'm a musician. I'm like,
so not everybody's
same thing.
Not everybody's gonna be a Leo DiCaprio or Brad Pitt.
Well, that's the issue. Is everyone wants to just write you a check for $5,000 a month, $10,000 a month, whatever the number is you charge them, and you say, take my feed over, make it go.
But if they're not good on camera,
you're saying they're like, I need you to put in the work with me. So when I show up and film, right, we have dedicated time, and that's all we're doing during that time. We're filming, and then you could do what you do best, all the editing, of course, and then you'll help them with the copy, but it has to be a mutual agreement, of course, right?
Yeah. So this is one element of it. This is what changed my business, because it gets me in the door and it allows me to provide a real tangible result to them and get them content that they're going to pay a videographer or somebody. I have my own style. I know what needs to be shot. I know how it needs to look, because I watched so many hours of Andy's, Pat's, Brad's content. So I know what they need. So just like you were saying earlier, if you're a wedding photographer or videographer, you're going to know how to shoot a wedding. If you're an entrepreneur, media videographer, you know how to shoot that sort of content. And that's what I know how to do. But that's just where it starts, because the consulting knowledge that I have on the back end as to what Andy had done and what I've observed Alex to do and what I saw Pat to do, that's more media operations, sales, marketing. How do you then take that content and start driving leads and driving sales to make the close in the mastermind live event world? And I've seen all the different business models, and I know how it can be scaled. So when I sit down with a client, yes, it starts off, hey, I'm going to film you. I will get you the content. You'll have it in 2 to 3 days. It'll look great. I can post it for you, etc. And I do have a great team. But beyond that, it's the media PR advising side of this. Is how do you become a real digital creator that starts making money,
right?
And from there, I know people who have done it to the top of the top, and my network is big to where I introduce,
So that's what I was wondering is like, yes,
people.
you said so that portion of it is anybody can make quality content, but in terms of actually being successful with it, would you say the biggest things are like ads and then knowing the right people to collaborate
You
with?
need to be connected.
Yeah,
Just
for the
like show business. Let's
collaborations.
go back
Yeah,
to
yeah,
show
yeah.
business again.
Yeah, 100%.
If you're like, I would like to say in this world, my big vision long term is to become the James Cameron or the Stanley Kubrick of entrepreneurship content in new media, right? And if you were plugged into a big director or big producer
yeah.
in that world, well, you're skipping the line. You're now the big star. You're going to be out in front. And that's really what's needed. You need to have connections. Is that me?
Someone's calling you an owl.
Oh, you're on Owwll.
Oh, really?
Who's calling you an owl?
We should plug him into the show. Can we grab it?
That's sick. How do I accept it?
Oh, you really hit that?
Yeah.
Oh, sick. Somebody called me?
They're calling you right now.
Hit accept.
All right. That's sick.
Wow.
Did it go?
No, I think it's off.
Yeah, you have to also.
Okay, let's get back to the show.
Sorry,
let's
we'll do
so
it later.
cool.
We'll
I
call
had
turn
him.
yourself offline for
We'll
the
call him.
time
But
being.
also, that's
We'll call Tim.
speaking of what you're saying, though.
That's sick.
Everything you're saying ties right into the Owwll app, because wouldn't you like, I would always say this in the music business, like I would 100% just pay to talk to the right connections, like on out, like if a freaking famous producer was on here, I would pay money to be like, hey, to have that conversation, to get to know, like it's so hard to get access to those people. So it's like that's what Owwll is about, is just being able to have an actual conversation with those types of people. And eventually, we have some of them on there, but that's like,
We don't have some of them. We have hundreds of them.
Yeah.
What people are not realizing and picking up on is every single week we run 2 podcasts, the Owwll Podcast, the Shrimp Tank. The Shrimp Tank requirement to get on is $1 million of revenue, 5 years in business, and 5+ employees. So how hard is it to get in touch with that type of crowd? They're the top 1%.
Yeah.
Right. So then all of a sudden you're like, wait a second, every single week, if I follow these folks, stop what I'm doing. When they say I'm available, you get a notification or a text message. If you just followed those guests from those 2 shows, that's 100 new contacts a year. And they will be going live on Owwll, and you could be their caller. So imagine building relationships with those 100. Just stop what you're doing, call them. It's 1 or 2 calls a week, right? And then
10
all of a
minutes
sudden
of your time,
provide value. Don't just try to get in there and solicit. And you could walk away, maybe not 100, but 30 new relationships with business owners that could write quite large checks, including, like, we got the founder of Celsius, in the app, as well as the current CEO, right? So there's not many
I'd
technologies
pay for that time 100%. Like right now, I'd pay for that.
have that. But here's the thing: it's like they're not listed like a lot of our competitors for thousands of dollars. Like Patrick Bet-David has Minect. Every single week, I get a text message. Hey, here's this app. Did you see it? And there's a couple others, and I'm sitting there like, yeah. But that's not for the everyday person, because they're charging $100 per minute.
Yeah.
I go, the everyday entrepreneur can't go in there and call these people on a regular basis, but with Owwll you can, because it's one-on-one networking.
Yeah.
You're not going after the advice right away. So what's happening with Owwll is, like, literally they're underpriced, right? You're getting access to these people because they come on our shows and they're like, okay, I'll try this Owwll app. Big deal. I'll go live for 30 minutes. They're not looking at it as, these people are taking all the knowledge from me. I got to charge them $1,000 per hour.
Yeah.
And that's the real.
Well, the other thing too is a lot of professionals actually like want to mentor people and help others, especially when they've made it to a certain degree. And they're like, oh, I could form relationships. I could help others. Like, we have mentorship Mondays where a lot of these people who might be retired but they've made it in their field, lower their price on Monday mornings to $1, so that they could actually, the college kid looking for the internship or looking to get into that field could actually call them, because they get joy out of that too. So it's like, it's kind of a win-win for everybody.
Yeah, it's a part of, I guess, a larger movement that's going on with the increase and advancement in technology. You then see a decentralization of information, and we see this in every way. So in the media space, what you're seeing is that cameras like this can be used to film almost major motion pictures. There was one, the creator, that was just filmed using this exact cameras like it, the entire film, major motion picture, out in theaters. So with this advance in technology, you can then have decentralization that takes the power away from the traditional Hollywood studio, and then it takes it away from the news network and ESPN to where you can have local creators then get their message out there. So you have more information go with this advancement in technology. And like the Owwll app, that's an advancement in technology where you have a digital interface where now there's a decentralization of information in marketing, business, to where originally, what would you have to do? Like you said, what would you have to do to get in touch with the Celsius head, the owner? You'd probably have to do what I did with Pat and go into the office 4 or 5 times, and you never meet him. You'd probably have you'd probably not be let back in, right? If you don't do it effectively. This way, he wants to book his time. He wants to give his information out, because that's what really fosters creativity movements. Steve Jobs would have agreed 100%. There needs to be deeper conversations on more intellectual topics, which is what's going on with Owwll.
The beauty is, when you said information, like, no one's giving their personal information. It's all, done through the app, phone calls through the app. There's no phone numbers happening too. And it's the instant factor of it too, is like the spontaneity. Like, you could be like, well, I'm in the studio right now and the show's about to start and I'm having a glitch. Like, I need advice now, and Google's not giving me the answer I need, or Chat GPT only goes so far. I need to talk to someone in a more detailed way. And that's where you can get on Owwll and in the moment solve that problem, get that advice, not having to schedule a call for 2 months from now. So that's also like the instantaneous aspect of it as well.
Yeah, 100%. And
Yeah.
and it's very important, this conversation, and the amount of advice, and the amount, like you were saying, it gives the opportunity for somebody who's young, who wants to get in with somebody, an opening of 1 to 2 to 3, however many minutes they book, to just tell somebody, hey, I would like to work with you. I would like to show you what I can do. So it also fosters that sort of community as well. And these digital communities are very important for where the world's going. And I think we need to utilize them to push good messages, and not just the nonsense that's going on online right now.
And it
with
creates
other
good
platforms.
boundaries for both parties,
Yeah.
right? The expert feels comfortable because they have to leave a review at the end of the conversation, and it's only 10 minutes to start the conversation. They can't just chew their ear off forever.
Yeah.
You know how many times, I'm sure you've been on, you did a lot of sales. You jump on a Zoom,
Lots.
and your time is disrespected, or they no-show you, they cancel on you. And you're just like, wow, what they put me through, and no one else is going to know, right? I just got no-showed this week by someone who referred, and I emailed like, hey, I'm on the Zoom. Never did he ever respond back to that email.
Yeah.
Right.
I
Like, what
had
a piece of shit.
Yeah.
You're watching right now. Like, that's rude. Like, we all have cell phones. Email me back. I sat on Zoom. I stopped what I was doing. I had a real meeting going on. I stopped to get on that meeting because I respect everybody's time. But ready for this? He just looks like, next, right? And ready for this? Like, he's not accountable. But an Owwll, if you say something inappropriate, leave him a 1-star review, shows up anonymous, and there's accountability that's tied back to networking, right? In the networking world, there's zero accountability, right?
Yeah.
So that's where I think the beauty of it is. And then also, our competitors just don't have that instant capability, right? You have to schedule everything out in the future. So yes, like, if you want to schedule, a meeting with a CEO that exited, and you want to learn how they did it, right? That's all great, but it's going to take you 3-4 weeks to get on their schedule with most of these apps. With ours, if they're available right there and then, call them, right? And feel them out a little bit. It's only 10 minutes, not an hour conversation. So you could get priced in a little bit better.
Tom.
Yo, Danielle.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. How about you?
I'm good. You are actually live on the Owwll Podcast right now.
Ooh.
Yes.
All right.
So we are calling you. We're here with Don Capi. That's how you pronounce it, right?
Yes.
Okay. Just double checking.
You got it.
And he basically has a consulting company, and he's worked with some really big influencers, and he helps blow up businesses on social media.
Yeah.
And so I know that you yourself are an intuitive guide, coaching. You make videos, and you've had a couple viral videos. So I thought you'd be a good person to chat with. Well, first of all, I guess, Don, do you have any questions for Tom?
He didn't see his profile, though.
Yeah, I mean,
He doesn't
Yeah,
know who
which
Tom is.
Tom, no, I just explained that he's,
No, I'm joking.
yeah, what he does like intuitive readings. He does videos about things going on in the world. Vice versa. Tom, do you have any questions, I guess, for Don about in terms of marketing, becoming an influencer, blowing up?
Let me digest all this. Okay, so I have a question.
Okay.
Regarding video content.
Yeah.
What I'm noticing is can you recycle content over and over again and expect the same amount of views and stuff?
Good question.
Just from what I'm observing, you can kind of take videos that performed well and repost them again and again and again and again, and they perform pretty much the same. Is that accurate?
Yeah. I had a good friend. That's a great question. I had a good friend, Ileana, who I used to act with, and she's now above 11 million followers on TikTok. Good friend of mine. And she creates acting content, and now she's making almost these pseudo major motion pictures on YouTube on her channel. Ileana again is the full name. And she was recycling content. She actually gave that advice to a couple of my clients at Valuetainment. I got her on a call. And if you find something that's trending and doing well, especially on TikTok, you would be advised to not only just repost it, but also recreate that content slightly, because it's hitting some algorithm trend. And so it is a good idea to do it. Yeah.
Well, I got to piggyback
Okay.
that question real quick. What about other people creating other accounts for you and then repurposing it there? Like you saw, what's his name did that? He was famous for in the last year. He's the most Googled man in the
Tate.
world. Tate.
Andrew
Yeah,
Tate.
yeah. And you saw him just like there was hundreds of TikTok accounts and all this stuff just getting repurposed. I mean, I could not get him off my feed.
Yeah.
And I did like his stuff. You know, that was another reason why I kept going on my feed, but it was out of control.
Yeah. So he went super high quality content, super flashy, super peacock method, where he just did everything under the sun. Bugatti,
Yeah.
his brother. I mean, his content's great. He also had the funding. That's another point that I made earlier. You have to have the money really to go to that level. And then he did things like build a digital community through different interfaces. He built the real world. And when he built the real world, then he used and leveraged that community and made them all brand ambassadors and had them repost his stuff. And the only part that I don't understand really is how they all got a hold of his content. He probably advised through the inner portal or through the inner network, hey, gave them a rundown, take this, clip it, use this AI, take it here, do this, and then you're free to post all my content. And then I think he had the real world as a click down, and they got a referral commission on every time that they downloaded this $50 a month program. And that's how he incentivized everybody. So that's what I mean about systems, my understanding of systems on how to not only build the media up, but then also monetize off of this. That's the model that he built. And I see the model and I understand it.
He also sold the dream, right? Hey, if you get in early with my content and you're going to build an account and that account's going to get to millions, of followers, then the early adopters were like, I got to get in here. Like, look at his content performing, which goes back to Tom's question, right? And all of a sudden repurposing his content. You're like, I'm going to get a famous account. And of course it could get taken down at one point, which a lot of them did, but there's a lot that don't, right? You could be, in that middle ground. Not everyone's going to get to that level and have an account paying you decent amount of revenue. It's not you.
Yeah.
Right?
100%. I have a question. Do you do public speaking engagements, and how many different styles of content do you capture right now that you post? Like, are you doing how-tos? Are you doing live speaking engagements in front of a group that's filmed? What are you currently doing?
I am not doing any of that. I've been on several podcasts and, just trying to get the clips from that. I haven't done any public speaking engagements really. So yeah, I'm just kind of creating videos and just talking and sharing truth and knowledge and stuff like that.
Do you have
I have not.
Do you have a videographer currently that's filming you do this, or are you doing it yourself?
No, I'm just doing everything myself.
Okay.
Right now.
Got you. So yeah, just a couple of things to make the media operation just get better, to get that better quality content. My advice would be try to find a videographer in your local area that you can pay. Try to find an editor that can use one of the free to use editing softwares, make some calls out to some recruiting websites, get somebody who might be in the Philippines or Colombia is a great place to find editors. I've actually gone back and forth to Colombia a couple of times to find a good team and get them on board so you have a better editing capacity so you can push out more content. The two concepts are higher quality content. That's Mr. Beast. He says the number one thing is quality over quantity. And then Gary Vee and Alex Hormozi say, you know what, it's quality and quantity. And that's what I've seen everybody do. They have really high quality content. And then they push it out, but as many different styles of content as possible. So one of you on your phone talking to the camera, out running with your lifestyle would be 1. You in front of a public speaking engagement, filming that, engaging a live audience. 2. How-to videos with a higher quality camera in front of a whiteboard. 3. And just keep scaling that and trying to get diversification on the content will also really help you. And it'll make you feel great because now you're doing more creative, innovative stuff. And then that would be where the other filmer, with some of those, you're going to need a filmer, right? And you're going to need an editor that just has a good eye for it. And if you want to talk more, I mean, obviously we can hop on a call or you can get time with me on Owwll.
Hoot, hoot.
And we can talk about that if you want to book some time, because I'd love to chat with you about what you got going on.
And Tom, I'll add another one onto that. Just call the podcasters on Owwll. Just make it a goal for 2024 that you're going to get on 30 different podcasts. And what they're going to do is, film you in all different ways. Do some in-person podcasts, do some ones on Zoom or
And
StreamYard, wherever it
that's-
might be. And you're gonna get so much content from them and see how they do it. And then you're going to form strategies, from all the stuff that he's mentioning.
Currently, how many followers do you have on social media, like Instagram and stuff like that?
Not much.
Okay.
Like 3,000 here, 5,000 there, 3,000 here.
That's good.
Kind of spread out.
That's good. Do you have an ask built in anywhere? Do you have an ask for a PDF, a free PDF lead magnet that then leads into sort of a ClickFunnels op with like a course and all of that and one-on-one consultation? Do you have that built in?
No, I don't have anything built in. This is all fairly new.
Okay.
So, these are all things I need to do.
So yeah, on the other front, besides the content creation, would be building the monetizable assets that you can then broker and sell, right? So a couple of things you would need is a free PDF lead magnet that you would give out with maybe your top 10 traits. You can use different AIs and ChatGPT to put this sort of stuff together, and then you give that out. The number one thing in this industry, I've heard a lot of guys say it. I've heard Russell Brunson say it. I've heard Bridger Pennington live say it. Is your list, is your email list. So if you have a big email list, you're doing good. And if you foster that email list with updates on what your courses are, what you have a new YouTube video that goes live, that'll be your biggest way to monetize your brand is getting a hold of that email list, and then also doing some ad spend to grow your current network by buying real estate. Think of it by buying digital real estate on other people's scrolling feeds, and then being able to get some of their following, whoever likes you and likes them.
Awesome. Yeah. Good stuff. Great information. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem, brother.
I do need an email list. I don't have that either.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I'm at square one.
No, you're getting ready. You're getting ready to make some serious money, dude. So just keep up with it, and also just use Blue Ocean to try to diversify yourself as much as you can in your content from the rest of the field, and look for ways to be more dynamic from everybody else in the pack in your industry.
That's something I've gotten mastered.
Love it.
I don't
Love
need to
it,
worry
man.
about that. You see my stuff, you'll be like, wow. So yeah,
Awesome.
I appreciate it though.
Anytime.
Good stuff, man.
All right,
Yeah.
bye.
Now it's your lucky
All right,
day.
thanks a lot,
It's
guys.
November 22nd. It's 222.
I know. I was like
Staring at your
222,
phone.
222. I
It's meant
kept
to be
looking
for
at
that.
that.
Tom. It's meant to be for Tom.
Wow.
That's what I was.
That was pretty cool. So we'll get one more person up on Owwll
That's some
while she's
GG33
calling
stuff.
some other people. How cool was that?
Yeah, that's
right?
the 22222. That's some GG33.
But I feel like you get a lot of people like himself who have a few thousand here or there, right? And then are struggling to have that breakthrough, right? Because they try to do everything and then they get frustrated because they just need to like just do it. Does that make sense? That execution, and sometimes that execution is hiring someone like you that holds them accountable, right? Accountability is everything in this world.
The best way to do it is to buy some digital time with somebody. One of my best results with a client is actually a client that I got digitally, and we go back and forth. He just posted, we just did another call yesterday, and I advised him on how he could start making money. So I got him a QR code from LinkMe, which is a big social media company that I'm working with and collaborating with. I got him a QR code so he could post it in front of a big group of people so they could scan the QR code. That then led to his LinkMe account where they clicked, and then that funneled into a Stand store where he could then broker his service. And he booked like 100 different people for a $99 a month training and workout. And he got that by leveraging his connections through the hospital system, because he does kidney, renal failure, like coaching and speeches on how he got out of renal failure and rehabbed his life.
It's great. I love niches.
And he goes super niche, and he just did the live speaking engagement, but it's that system of building out where this goes to this link to that link to where you can ask, and then you start making money. You just got to build out the system.
Soon we got to add the Owwll logo to that t-shirt. right?
Yeah, dude,
'Cause
100%.
Link me, I'm very familiar with
Yeah.
it, right? But one thing they're missing is being able to call the person on the other side.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
everyone just had a little call button and link back to Owwll because you can put links anywhere on your profile.
We definitely
And
got to
all of a
make that
sudden,
call happen. We'll make
yes.
that call happen
And
100%.
there are same color tones over here.
Yeah, yeah.
We throw the Owwll logo right below there. We're in business.
We gotta go to the Link Me house. It's pretty cool. They just moved into a new house and it's sick. So we can have a meeting there for sure and talk.
Actually, I started seeing their CEO on TikTok recently.
Yeah,
Remember we talked to them on Zoom?
Yeah, we have. We're in contact with them, because we could put our little logo.
Net's a killer, and Net's an absolute stud. He's an amazing CEO, and he's doing a lot of big stuff. And he doesn't stop. That guy just always on Zoom calls all day, which is
Nice.
sick.
Okay, so this is the only faux pas about Owwll is when you go live, we need you to answer. So that's the that's the problem is like a lot of people when you first sign up for the app, they don't have their notifications turned on.
Yeah,
So then they don't realize or they set office hours and don't realize they're live
yeah,
and then they don't answer. So that's just like a reminder to the community. If you're going to go live, make sure your notifications are turned on so that you don't miss a chance to talk to someone who could give you great advice or get advice.
Well, I'm happy. I feel like I had good impact on the last guy, so I'm really happy that we had a talk. Hopefully that opens.
We'll try one more. We'll see, but
well, good news is we're going to fix that problem because in the future we're going to turn you offline, right? Because if you get one missed call, that means you're not available. So we're going to shut you off.
Right.
So we're not going to sit there getting 10 missed calls.
Here we go.
Which
is
nice. Which is a common occurrence.
Hi.
Or beyond just the gifts
Oh.
and the outpouring of prophecy.
It's on there.
How are you?
Sorry. Hi, how are you? Sorry, we just heard a little recording. I'm doing well. You are live on the Owwll Podcast.
Oh, you're kidding me.
Yeah. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Who is this?
Oh,
Dr. Sheila.
Nice.
oh my God.
What's up,
I can't
Dr.
even
Sheila?
believe-
How are you doing?
Who is this my Jason?
Yes, this
Yeah.
is. I've been on Sheila's podcast. How you doing?
Nice.
I am well. It's an honor as always to be on live. I love you guys.
Yay, we love you too. So tell us what you do, Sheila.
I do a little bit of everything. I have a podcast, as Jason said, and he was one of my esteemed guests. It's called Lifestyle Mastery, and it's on every Wednesday. As a matter of fact, about an hour ago, I had two-time NBA star Terry Cummings on, and he did a really great job. But I do the TV show. I have also, it's a business, an online business for women over 40, reinventing themselves, and it's called Grandmas in Business, where we
Nice.
teach you how to start up businesses and scale businesses. So we do that. We have online courses, one-on-one group coaching, retreats, and the like. But I am passionate about women and helping them to scale up and grow up.
Nice.
Okay.
Love it.
Can you I don't want to put you on the spot.
Yeah, no,
You
absolutely.
Have a question
Yeah,
Go
sure.
ahead.
for Sheila.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so hey, what's going on, Sheila? I'm live on the podcast. I'm the guest today, and I have some social media experience in media and broadcasting, and work for some big YouTube channels in the past. So, I guess I had a question for you, if you're open to that.
Yes.
Okay,
I
so
am.
so you said that you do live speaking engagements, and that's part of how you foster your community and build it up for outreach.
Yes.
Okay, great. So explain to everybody live what that live speaking engagement does for you and your digital community and what it allows you to do in person with them.
When you're going live, it lets people have an idea of who you really are. And you're speaking like right off the cuff, and they can pretty much tell if you're genuine or not. So what that does is once I'm speaking live, then it filters into the other things that I'm doing, whether it's online courses, whether they want to be further coached. But the live events are major because people get to really feel who you are. And that's how I decide if I'm going to take someone's course when I see them speaking live or I'm seeing them either in person or either on a virtual event. If I can see them really talking real, then I would want to explore further with them. So I think it's a really valuable tool seeing people speak live.
I love that answer because I feel like this is when I'm like on dating apps, it's such an energy thing. Like I will be like, I don't barely text. I'm like, let's do video right away. Like, and then they'll either like that or they won't. And then, I just feel like
but you're weeding them out.
It's such an it's how to weed people out. And then I've done video dates, and then I'll go meet up with them in person and be like, oh, I hate their energy. Like it was different than the actual being in a room with someone and feeling their energy and their body. Like that is even a step further than the Zoom and the video. So I think that's a great answer.
And
and that's how I am too.
Yeah.
When what I've learned, Sheila, what I've learned from a lot of the big creators and influencers out there, like Pat and Andy. I'm going to speak about Andy Elliott the most because he was my client at VT, and I got to see his operation and got to see how his guys act and the energy in the room when he speaks. A lot of this is about building your personal brand, right? It's all based around your followers wanting to meet you and get to connect with you.
Yes.
And why the live is so important, which a lot of digital creators need to focus on creating a local community live and funding it and putting some ad spend behind it and inviting different people from their community, because what it allows you to do is level up and show them the quality of person that you are. And this is why in this industry, it's so important to do a lot of personal development work and read as much as you can, because you have to level up each day. And then you do the live to show them who exactly you are, transfer the energy, and then they tell their friends and you build a referral network out. Also at the live, you get total access to do email capture, phone number capture, anything you want, because they're live there with you. And also installing a QR code when you speak behind you to get them to your digital portal of whatever you're selling is super important. So doing a QR code in the background that links to either your stand store, your website, whatever it may be, they can click on that, and you've organically created a digital funnel for yourself.
Wow. That is outstanding.
If this is dropping bombs.
That's the very reason.
Yeah.
This is so
Where's
huge.
that soundboard? Where's that soundboard?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, where is it? We have
Oh my God.
effects.
I need this, Jason, please.
That's great.
Of course. I mean, of course, I believe in everything you guys are saying, because my podcast is in person for a reason, right?
Yeah.
And
there aren't a lot in person.
And there aren't as many. Yeah. And everyone would actually tell me back in the day, like, why do you do it in person? You could just jump on Zoom. It's so much easier. I'm like, I understand that. But when someone comes into our studio, there's lights on them, and we chat afterwards. It's that after moment, right? Where you could be like, oh, what's your cell phone number? Yes. They're going to give you their cell phone. When you're on Zoom or a phone conversation, you ask for someone's cell phone, it could get awkward, right? But when you're in person, they are themselves when there's no one else watching, and you could talk about all different things, and people open up a lot in person. Yeah. And then they end up, wanting to keep that relationship alive long term. So
not only that,
relationships last longer after you meet them in person.
I feel like you can find out someone's level of just commitment and dedication, and like if they cancel on you, like their flakiness,
body language.
Yeah, but like where we've had people where it's like they cancel last minute and they're difficult and they don't you can't get them in person. Like then we're like, no, they canceled day of with a bad excuse. Like we're not gonna give them another chance. Where you can weed people out that way as well.
That goes for very large podcast booking guests as well. Because when I was at VT, I was buddies with the podcast bookers, and one of them would try to get this huge name on. You're like, really, that guy? You're getting that guy on? And some of them would be flaky, some of them wouldn't. When you go to that level of professionality, you realize that everybody is pretty much competent, though, and they're all on time, and they're very diligent on their calendar. They live by their Google Calendar. That's one of the most powerful things I've heard somebody tell me. He's like, I was on the phone with him, and this is when I was having a little struggle with my business. And he said, listen, dude, I live by my Google Calendar. Everything I do is on there. If it's not on there, I don't do it. I forget about it. So just when you get something booked, put it on there. And that's been a very powerful lesson that I had to learn. Everybody at the top is very systematized and setting that system. Ed Milet says, when you set that system in place, it allows you to have more flexibility of thought and relax because everything is already scheduled. So I like to have everything scheduled in my in my Google Calendar.
Agree.
I do the same. I
Huge.
love Ed Milet, by the way.
Ed Milet's a beast. Yeah. He's a cool guy.
Oh my God.
Joe Dispenza, Ed Milet. There's a very powerful. They have a 3 podcast series. It changed your life.
So I got a question for you, Don. Because Dr. Sheila would like the answer to this as well. It's like, how do you get those top guests? Right? What is the trick? Right? Because you see them on a lot of big podcast shows. Like, yeah, I've gotten some very big folks like the CEO of Celsius, which is local. Right? I have my own tricks locally, but when it goes around Florida, where I don't have that much leverage, let's say. Right. How do me and Sheila reach out to those folks to try to get them on our shows?
Yes.
To get them on your show, go on their show.
But even then,
oh yeah, wait, time out. To get onto their shows,
how do you get on their show?
Right? Yeah.
Yes, when Owwll blows up one day, it's going to be a lot easier.
You said you did a lot of cold calls and all of that too.
Yeah.
So is there?
So you have a
trick?
podcast. You have a podcast booker that's making those calls for you. When Pat was not as big, those calls were a little harder. But as your personal brand grows, eventually they're calling you. So it's really just once again diving back into building your personal brand.
Tell the story. Yeah.
Not only the brand of the podcast, but diving in and building the brand of Jason, and then befriending and having a good relationship where there's no bridges burned with as many of these creators as possible, because then they're all going to say, yeah, I know this guy. You should have him on. He's got a good business. He doesn't have a huge following yet, but he's a great guy. Have him on, give him a chance. And knowing then some of the podcasts that are a little bit easier to get on because you had a friend that went on, and just basically climbing that ladder up. It's going on as many podcasts and hosting as many podcasts as you possibly can. I try to do like a podcast a month now, and I want to up that to as many as I can, like appear on as many as I can, just to build these relationships.
Oh, we're gonna lose her. Thank you.
Oh, we lost her.
That was funny.
I was like, she's $25. I'm not gonna. And we're done.
Yeah. But you bring up some great points, right? It's about, getting 99 no's and then 1 yes to get on those shows. It's just
cold call,
going at it and just keep going, and leveraging LinkedIn, messaging them, or linked me and messaging them there. Instagram. She does voice notes, and everyone is always saying, like, how do you get all these amazing guests on the Owwll Podcast or the Shrimp Tank? It's like they don't see how many no's we receive.
Yeah.
Right? And we
or just like, not even knows. If they send me a no, I'm like, they sent me a no. Like they don't even respond. Most of the
times, like I'm not even in business mode. Yeah. Like you saw, I texted you. I'm like, hey, reach out to this person. She has a business. She's a model down in Miami. And I know when like she'll get a better response than I do because I'm a male. Right. And vice versa. She pitches to me. She's like, hey, reach out to this person. And like
he's the face of Owwll, so like if he reaches out, it looks better. If
So I just know that it's just like
use the male and the
feminine and masculine energy.
But we also give so much value that sometimes it's hard to say no in certain situations, right? So like when it comes to our other podcast, the Shrimp Tank, right? There's always an angle when you could be like, hey, the students would love to hear you at FAU, and then it kind of gets away from the money element. It doesn't matter about the following. It's like, oh, I get to go to the FU College of Business and then teach students, right? So if you leverage it and then you also say, hey, this person came on the show, right? All of a sudden they're like, well, if the CEO of Celsius came on, I want to be on that show. So once you get one big dog, as you know, it's easier to then share that person to somebody else, right? So
share
as we've done there
I always say that.
No one's watching the whole thing. They just see that one little edited clip that you had and like, oh, that person was on. That sounded really good.
Yeah.
And then boom, they're not listening to 59 minutes of the rest of the story.
Finding an alliance, one of the most powerful alliances that I've ever seen in business was when I first went out to Andy's event in 2021. It was the event that Brad Lee was going to. And part of the reason why I was so excited to go was in order to learn sales a little bit. I was being coached directly from Pat on sales, marketing, advising, all this different stuff. But in between the meetings that we had, I would have to look on YouTube and find the guy that I really agreed with his sales style. And that just happened to be Brad Lee because he's a little bit more of he's a white dude, he's country, he's got this swag to him. And so Brad went out and did a public speaking engagement. Andy paid him X amount. It probably would have been considered way too much for most people. I think he paid him like 40 G's to come out and speak at his event. What he got out of that 40 G's was he got Lightspeed agreement where he teamed up with Brad to get on Lightspeed, probably paid him for that too. But that business relationship then fostered into one of the most money-making deals probably ever, because then Andy and him went at things together. They both had their podcasts. They both leveraged their networks. So I would advise, for you, Jason, for the team, maybe find a collaborative podcast, somebody else that's local, that's of a decent size, really get in with them, do some sort of business deal agreement to then where you're kind of teamed up and everybody knows that you're now going at it together. So if they tell the one guy no, then they're telling you no. So you leverage that friendship and you leverage that connection to book bigger and bigger guests on your show.
Well, interesting. You know Mark Savant, right?
Yeah, Mark. Yeah,
so it's kind of funny. We just
Yeah.
made a deal with him. He's going to come into this studio for 4 hours straight. We're going to pin him to the top of Owwll, and he's going to push the message to his entire audience. They call him through the Owwll app, and then they'll be up on the screen when they call in. So today we made outbound calls, but we do the opposite. Sometimes we've done these call-in shows. We've only done it twice so far with a big influencer named Jonathan Palmer, who's big on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
But now
we also wear sunglasses.
So now we're going to partner with more folks like Mark Savant, and we're going to give it a test run because all of a sudden Mark sees the value. Like they're going to call into the show.
Yeah.
They're going to get content. He's going to get content. He's amazing at creating
Speaking of
content.
challenges, I think that we should give Don a challenge.
Okay.
Like we
The
do
finale
this
of the episode. It's
we
a new
do this
thing.
sometimes. Yeah, this is a new thing where
Challenge.
like because you're such
We have to hold him accountable. Last time we didn't hold the guests accountable.
we didn't hold the guest accountable. So we are trying a new thing where we'll give. Well, what do we want the challenge to be? First of all, I think
he's a sales guy. He makes outbound
sales.
calls
So I think
so. Let's make it on outbound calls because he's made so many outbound calls in his life. Thousands.
Yeah.
I know Patrick Bet-David's model very well because in the insurance business, it was just like cold call until your fingers.
So how many? It is a holiday. So maybe we start this.
No, we start it right now. There's no. You're an entrepreneur.
Okay, fine.
You call anyone now. You call while he's leaving, driving to Miami.
All right. Okay, fine. So today, how many calls do we have him make?
Let's make him do it. How many calls do you want to make in the next
week?
7 days.
So how many outbound calls do I want
on
to make?
Owwll?
Yeah.
On Owwll?
New people.
Yeah.
Not like per person 10 times, like Dr. Sheila you just spoke to. And of course, be careful because these cost money. These calls. You get a lot of people that are dollars.
You have your free $10, which you have now, which you get signing up using the code.
So I'll utilize that $10. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. You will. You can use.
I could put that towards like credits to call people, right?
Yeah. So you 10 people right there.
So if you did 10 people.
Yeah, I'll do 10 people. That sounds
10 people,
good.
7 days.
Yeah.
That's the timeline.
That's fine.
Okay, what do you want?
An extra consultation.
So
if you get over 10 calls.
Yeah,
right,
you get over 10.
You're gonna win something. What would you like to win?
Ooh.
So we have
could be something in the studio.
We could give you free time in our studio to do your own show.
Yeah, so let's do this. I want to do one of those lives with a call in because I want to have as many conversations with people as I can pin up. So if I do and I hit the goal, then I'll do one of those.
Okay.
Okay, so that's what you win. And then if he loses, what do we get?
If I lose,
we get an edited video.
Yeah,
that's cool. Yeah, I'll come in and film it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll do that. That's a deal.
That's a deal. I like this new part of the show. We just started this last week.
That's pretty cool.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
Sounds like a win-win.
Yeah, it's a win-win. Yeah. Oh, did it shut off?
Perfect timing because that's the end of the show. Well,
exactly.
Don, thank you for joining us on the Owwll Podcast. Everyone listening, we'll be back next Wednesday around 4 p.m. next week. And of course, call Don on Owwll. He's up there in the featured category. So take care. We'll see you next week.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Let's get it. Bye-bye.
Peace.